Hello Seekers, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to have a look at what you need to let go, what you need to release. Firstly though, I'd like to say thank you to all my new subscribers, and to those of you who are returning, welcome back. It's always wonderful to spend time with you. Today, as I said, we're going to look at what you need to release. Remember that this is a timeless reading. You will find it when you are meant to find it. Take from it what resonates with your soul, and just if you feel drawn to more than one pile, feel free to look at the timestamps below and listen to more than one pile, or perhaps this reading is not meant for you today. In that case, just browse the rest of my readings or browse YouTube for many of the excellent readers that are out there. So as usual, I have the 4 piles. So we have Earth pile with the beautiful Pietersite. And this is your Rumi card. We have the Air pile with the pair of Herkimar Diamonds, and this is your Rumi card. Lovely vibrant artwork. This is the fire pile. I hope in this light you can see the beautiful lavender Lepidolite with the touches of pink Rubelite, and that is your Rumi card. And the water pile, we have the beautiful navy Sodalite, and this is your Rumi card. So I'll give you a moment. Pick your pile: Earth with Pietersite, Air with Herkimar Diamonds, Fire with Lepidolite and Rubelite, and Water with Sodalite. So pick your pile, timestamps below, and I'll see you in your reading. Your reading, Earth pile. You chose the beautiful Pietersite, which we will put over there. Make space for the cards. And you chose this Rumi image. We will read that to start the reading. Let's look at your cards. First of all, we'll look at your oracle cards. This is the wisdom of Hafiz. What a beautiful way to start the reading. Receive your blessings. This is the golden path. Spontaneous and intuitive creativity. Can you see that? Yes. Now these are your tarot cards. We're using the Golden Nouveau Tarot. So first we have the Hierophant. And remember, today we're looking at what you need to let go, what you need to release. So we'll add all these cards together once we've opened them all and we see what patterns they make. And then you have the 6 of Wands, 2 6s there, and another 6, 6 of Cups. 6 is, in numerology, 6 is a number of creativity. So here's already a link to this card, which is spontaneous and intuitive creation. Your next card is the Hermit. 2 major arcanas in this reading so far, Earth pile. And then we have the 4 of Pentacles and the 5 of Wands. So we have 2 5s and 3 6s. 5s of versatility, a need for freedom. All right, let's start your reading. by seeing what Rumi has to say. 1. One I seek, one I know, one I see, and one I call. No aspect of your life is separate from your spiritual journey. All is unfolding according to the divine genius, and there is a sweet shift in store for you. Though circumstances may appear dire, and you may feel despair, there is an avenue through which fulfillment and resolution will be granted. Peace be to you, dear friend. That's a lovely way to start the reading. And the first thing that springs out is there's a sweet shift in store for you. And that relates to the Hafiz card of receive your blessings. And also, these two cards are fairly challenging. This indicates that there is quite a lot of conflict. But the key thing to remember in this situation, Earth Pal, is that conflict is often a training ground. This Five of Wands card, these young men fighting with the wooden sticks, it's not a serious battle which would use swords. This is more a training ground. This is no real harm will happen, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't test you and it doesn't challenge you. But at the end of the day, wands orchestrate new directions. So clearly, whatever it is that is disturbing your inner harmony, whatever you feel you need to let go, the challenge to get to that point of being able to release it is a great training ground for you. And this card next to it, the Four of Pentacles, it's always a reminder that if something is dominating our thoughts, if we're holding something too close to our heart, if we focused only on the material rewards that we can get, because Pentacles do reward material efforts. But this guy in this card, this person, this soul, has taken it too far. There's almost a miserly, fearful attachment to those material rewards. And what this card suggests is that the tighter you hold something, the less likely you are to be able to retain it. It is when you can detach from it, when you can realize that there is an abundance out there for you, that you can release the attachment to this material, whatever it is that is holding you tight in the material world, that you are holding tight onto. When you release it, you know, there's that old cliche, if you love something, let it go. If it comes back to you, it was yours. If it doesn't, it never was. This card to me epitomizes that, because if this king would release his worldly power, his desire for material goods, his blocking off his heart chakra, afraid to open up, if he could just release all of that, he would probably be amazed at what abundance comes flying in. What interests me is these 3 sixes, because sixes are to do with creativity. And trying to link in this training ground, this need to let go of a fear or a material, some kind of material success. It's almost contradictory to this card here, which is the Hermit. And this is about shining, being one's own light. And you've got here this card of family, community, almost a handing down of knowledge or wisdom or gifts. It's a very comfortable card. It's a card of harmony. It's a card of a community at peace with itself and knowing everybody sort of knows their place. And yet this card is a suggestion of not alienation in the sense that one has been kicked out to be an outsider, but this is a chosen path of going inward. It's about learning to shine an inner light. And to do that, one needs solitude. And it's almost as if this guy, this hermit here, in gaining his wisdom, in finding his path, in finding his own inner light, in shining his own light so brightly, he's almost turned his back on these ordinary, everyday sort of enjoyment of a community. And perhaps that's what the struggle here, perhaps what's being clung to is not so much a material thing like a position or a job or something, but perhaps the desire to walk one's own path in this life. And the energy here is suggesting that perhaps that is what is being clung to, and that what needs to be let go. This intense desire to prove oneself, to turn one's back on everything of the past, on everything from the community. And one is clinging to this idea. And while that has been a fantastic training ground, and it has built up strength and knowledge and courage and all those good attributes, at the same time, there is a sense of loneliness. The path of the hermit, the life of the hermit is extremely lonely. And having turned his back on all of that, he has perhaps found a new belief system. Because what this card is about, and again, it's a 5, and that's interesting, and that's a 5 as well. And 5s are all about new directions, same as 1s. So I get the feeling here, and I mean, if you have a look at the hermit, he's also carrying a wand. So it's almost as if what Spirit is saying to you here is, yes, there is that need to have found one's own path. Because the thing with the Hierophant is traditionally this is dogma, rigid dogma, whether it is spiritual, religious, educational, family beliefs, political beliefs. It is a rigid dogma, but it can also indicate the need to become one's own teacher, to look for the keys within. And you can see here we're back to the theme of the material, because this young supplicant who's coming to the Hierophant, to the teacher, to these almost like a pope or well, the Hierophant is a sacred, holy teacher. This character here is young, and on his cloak he's got red roses. And red roses is all about passion. It's about the passion to make a success, to push forward, to achieve in the material world. And that brings us back to this clinging out here, this clinging of the king to the 4 pentacles. But the other supplicant is an older man, and he has the white lilies of spiritual purity on his cloak. And the suggestion here is that if we have turned our back on the traditions and on the community, perhaps of our youth, to forge our own path, to walk that highly challenging but highly rewarding path of forging our own way, of being our own light, of shining our own light, perhaps there is a time where we need to bring into balance where what we've taught ourselves, what we've learned through accessing our inner teacher, and as we've walked along this path and we've gained in wisdom and we've gained in spiritual insight, we need to understand that victory comes, and this of course is the beautiful card of victory, but it is not yet victory that is complete. There is still some way to go on the journey. And what this card is suggesting is that perhaps, because this is a reading about what we have to let go, and the suggestion here is that we've got the victories that we've wanted. We've walked our own path. We've talked our own talk. We've made our own successes. We have been our own light. But perhaps part of that victory is now to let go that intense desire, that intense passion and clinging to the thought or the feeling that you have to walk that path alone. And this card of victory is showing that what's hidden in the situation is that victory can have many faces. We can have the victory of solitude, but we can still hold on to our own identity. We can still hold on to our own successes, even if we do return to the fold, even if we do return to a place where ordinary things bring us comfort, ordinary things bring us joy, where we reconnect with the past, with our own past, and with just an ordinary life. And yeah, it's all about being one. And it's about receiving blessings that come in many forms. We can have the blessing of individual success, of forging our own paths, of knowing that we have broken the chains of a rigid dogma that perhaps kept us limited. But at the same time, in becoming our own teacher, we need to be careful not to create a new kind of dogma, a new kind of limitation. And we need to open ourselves to all kinds of blessings. And we come back to that 6, which is a number of harmony. It is a number of creativity. And we need to get in touch perhaps with that more I think I'm going to just get a card or two to clarify this spontaneous creativity. Spirit guides, please give us a card or two to clarify the spontaneous creation. Discontent and boredom. Oh, lovely. So perhaps what we need to do, we've created a new path for ourselves. We used our intuition, we used our creativity, but now that new path that we have forged is perhaps not giving us the emotional fulfillment that it once did. And it is perhaps time to look and wonder why we're feeling discontented and why we're feeling bored with this, having forged and been successful at being our own light, at creating this strongly individualistic life for ourselves. But we need to look again at what victory and success really is. It is more about being complete and whole and rounded. You need that one point of focus to be successful. But true victory, and we've had the victory card twice, and again it's a 6, which is about receiving your blessings, about being creative and being spontaneous in how we do things, rather than we've moved away from the rigid dogma. But what we perhaps need to be very, very careful of is that, and what we need to let go of, because this is all about what we have to release, is in forging our new path, we need to ask ourselves the question, have we ourselves created a new dogma, a new limitation, which tells us that we have to walk alone to shine our light? But these cards, what Spirit is telling us through the cards today, is that victory takes on many shapes and sizes. And sometimes when we are walking a path, if we start to feel a sense of discontent and boredom, we need to use our intuition, we need to use our creativity, and we need to ask ourselves, do we need to reshape our victory and success and perhaps reconnect to that which we once left behind? And that, Earth Power, is your reading. I hope you found it interesting. It comes from my heart to yours. I wish you so much love and so many blessings, and I look forward to having you join us in the next reading. Hello, Air Pal, and welcome to your reading. Let's put your little feather over there. You chose this Rumi card, which we will read now. And you chose the lovely pair of Herkimar Diamonds, which we will put over there. Can you see them? Let's put them on your feather. Then they're more visible. Right, let's look at your cards. The Rumi card, we will read to start at the beginning of your reading. So this is the wisdom of Hafiz. Beautiful stag called Protect Your Boundaries. Can you see that? Then the golden path, bondage. Interesting card. Looks very much like the devil in the Rider-Waite. Anyway, we're using the Golden Nouveau Tarot, so let's have a look what your cards have to say. You have the Lovers. That's a major arcana card, and what's very interesting is your little Herkimar Diamonds. Part of the energy that they bring is that two lovers that have been very attuned, and not necessarily romantic lovers, but two people, two souls that are very attuned, can carry a pair of Herkimar Diamonds. One carries one and the other one carries the second one, and they are forever linked through past lives, through future lives. And together with the Lovers card, I'm inclined to think that this reading, which of course is about letting go, about what you need to let go, about what you need to release, I suggest that it has got something to do with a relationship. And of course boundaries is a big thing in relationships. So let's see what the other bondage could also be. Not 50 Shades of Grey type of bondage, but emotional or mental bondage or spiritual bondage could be something in a relationship that you do need to release or walk away from. So let's look at the rest of your tarot cards, and then we'll put them all together. Then you have the lovely Three of Cups, which is all about emotional celebration. And let's move that a little bit away. And then you have, oh, shame. Yeah, this is definitely about releasing something to do with a relationship. This is the very painful Three of Swords. It's heartbreak. It's sorrow. Okay, well, let's have a look. And 2 3s, interesting. Okay, 3 and 3 equals 6. 6 is harmony, creativity. The 3s, I'm trying to think what 3 is. It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, it'll come to me. It's 1 plus 2 equals 3. Okay, this is something to do with separation. Because you'll have 1, then you'll have 2. And then the third one. Or union. Let me just have a look. Sorry, Air Pal. I just need to have a look what that 3 is. It's going to bother me. Self-expression, creativity, joy, laughter. And yet that's the opposite of joy and laughter. All right, let's finish looking at your cards and then we'll put them all together. Oh, yeah, well, we're talking about, this is a reading where we're looking at what you have to release and what you have to let go. And here we have the 8 of Cups, which is the prime card of walking away from an emotional situation, turning your back and walking away from something that has meant a lot to you. And your next card is the Knight of Cups. This is definitely a reading about relationships, whether it is a romantic relationship or other relationships, but lovers, boundaries, bondage, cups, 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 heartbreak. And your final card, another cup, Queen of Cups. So, air power, we are definitely, and with the Herkimar Diamonds, of course, with that link between two souls through the different lives. So we're definitely looking, I think, here at releasing something about a relationship. It's not necessarily about releasing the relationship itself, but it's about releasing something about the relationship that is keeping you in bondage, that is creating heartbreak, that you need to walk away from. Let's have a look what Rumi has to say. Sacred convergence. What cannot be found is what I'm longing for. Although poor and needy, I will not accept small pieces of ruby. You do not have to force the planets to spin, nor the great cycles of the soul to progress. All that is required is that you show up for what is offered to you now. Do your part. Take your steps. You cannot remain in a vibration of fear if you want to dwell in the frequency of love. So that, I think, is a confirmation, Air Power, that this reading is all about emotions and a relationship. I don't think it's about walking away from the relationship completely, because you've got the Three of Cups, which is all about celebration, and you have the Queen of Cups, which is about an emotional, reaching a point of emotional maturity that you can withstand the turbulent emotions and yet remain stable, that you can be both passionate and objective at the same time and still hold the treasures of the heart within your hands. So there's definitely something here. The Lover's card, of course, on a mundane level, this is about soulmates, it's about love. But on a spiritual level, it's also about the mystical union of the opposites within, of the male and female, the yin and the yang, the dark and the light. And this card is suggesting that perhaps the path to the celebration, the path to the emotional security, what will allow you to walk away from the heartbreak, to turn your back on the heartbreak and the bondage that you feel trapped in this relationship. The key is to look within, to find that place within yourself that is generating fear instead of the acknowledgement that you can stand in love. I think this is what I will not accept small pieces of ruby. So it's almost like the message is saying to you that once you get to that point of self-love, once you get to that point of inner union, where you know your boundaries, where you can establish your boundaries with love and with respect for both yourself and the other, when you free yourself from the pain and the suffering and the sorrow of mental bondage, of emotional bondage, to a feeling of perhaps of not being worthy of whatever the relationship is offering you. Perhaps there's some, with these Herkimar Diamonds, perhaps there's some past life issues that you need to do a bit of soul retrieval, or you need to do a little bit of past life releasing around relationships, and this relationship in particular, because what is negatively affecting this relationship and what you need to release and what you need to move away from is this sense of bondage. And this is mental bondage. It is a thought pattern that is creating sorrow. Because see, although this is deep pain and deep sorrow, it's there's no blood running from the heart. So although it is a deep wound, it is not a mortal wound. And it can be cleared if one releases, walks away from whatever mental bondage is creating the sense of only being offered small pieces of ruby rather than being offered the whole ruby. And of course, rubies, if I remember correctly, I think rubies are the stone of love. And of course, they are of passion because they're the deep red ruby color. So it's important. It is important to offer love. It is important to give love, but not to the extent where you give so much of yourself that you have no boundaries, because then you'll eventually have nothing left to give. And I think this card, these two oracle cards, the bondage card and the protect your boundaries, boundaries that are too tight can become bonds or chains, and yet boundaries that are not tight enough create a different kind of bondage, which is the bondage of servitude, the bondage of never feeling good enough, of never feeling appreciated because you give so much and you end up accepting a small piece of ruby instead of the whole ruby. And the Knight of Cups here, these are two interesting cards, the Knight of Cups and the Queen of Cups, because this is a progression. This is a natural progression, because here the knight is still learning how to manage his emotions, but he hasn't really been tested. He still has to take his horse through the waters. And you can see there's fish on his saddle. Fish, of course, is the divine, almost, it's the Piscean ability to be completely immersed in the emotions and in the connection to the divine and that sense of oneness. But he has yet to be tested. He has yet to go through that river of his emotions. But the queen now, she has paid her dues. She has earned this treasure of this very ornate, huge cup of emotions. She's sitting on her throne, stable, with the turbulent waters behind her. She's confident yet loving. She's not arrogant. She's just sure of herself. She has walked the walk, and she knows that she can manage her passions, and she can be cool when she needs to be, and she can be passionate when she needs to be. And that, of course, means that she is able to set proper, healthy boundaries. And let's have a look. I think I'm going to just draw, because this is a card of male and female energies. It's of the union of opposites. It's about a relationship with the Herkimar Diamond. And it's about moving out of fear so that you can dwell in love. And it's about releasing the pain and sorrow that these mental bondage patterns, these thought patterns, these habitual patterns that don't allow you to protect your boundaries. It's about walking away from all of that so that as the Knight of Cups, you can go through that turmoil, that passionate turmoil, to celebrate the reaching of an emotional maturity that allows you to give and receive love in equal balance. You can offer the cup of love from a point of stability and of confidence and of self-love and self-respect and emotional maturity, but at the same time, you know that you're not just going to offer it to someone who's not going to appreciate it. And in return, you want the full ruby. You're not going to just accept a chip of ruby. So let us see if we can get a little bit more information. I've got 2 packs here. I've got the Divine Masculine. Spirit, kindly give me some advice for the air power. There you are. And I have the Divine Feminine. So let's, Spirit, kindly give me advice for the air power, for the Divine Feminine. Let us see what you have to close your reading, Air Pal. The Divine Masculine. It is better to do nothing than to do what is wrong. For whatever you do to yourself. Let me read that again. It is better to do nothing than to do what is wrong. For whatever you do to yourself. And that, I think, is alluding to the fact that we are all one. The pain and sorrow that we feel in relationships can often be a reflection of what we're feeling ourselves. It's the mental bondage rather than what's actually happening. Although obviously there are some cases where you just need to pack your bags and run and get out of if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, or if you are in a relationship with anybody who is abusive or physically violent, then you just grab your bags and you run and you don't look back. But in most normal relationships, we are all flawed and we both have strengths and weaknesses. And the whole thing about that relationship is, relationships are our greatest learning ground. They mirror back to us what we most need to learn. And in this case, when we're looking at what you need to release, what you need to let go, what you need to walk away from, it is almost a mental bondage to pain and sorrow around boundaries, around union, that perhaps if you feel you've been hurt, what this card is saying, it is better to do nothing than to do what is wrong. For whatever you do to yourself. Perhaps what it is suggesting in the context of this reading in a normal relationship is that sometimes if we react from this Three of Swords or from this bondage card, if something happens in the relationship and we react from that point, perhaps it would be better to take a step back and not do anything, because we may be stabbing a sword through our own heart rather than actually walking away from past patterns that prevent us from fully celebrating the love that we have. Let us look at the Divine Feminine, the wisdom offered by the Divine Feminine. In wisdom, you are aware of the processes of privileging and punishing yourself. Reflect and then let them go. I'm going to read that again because this affirms what I've just said, that perhaps when we feel stabbed in the heart in this relationship, it is more something that our mental attachments to the past, it is something from the past, is perhaps not reflecting the situation as it is right now. In wisdom, you are aware of the processes of privileging and punishing yourself. Reflect and then let them go. And that is what this reading has been all about, Air Pal. It is about releasing and letting go that which is not serving your highest good in your current relationship. There is a deep connection here that goes back many lives and will be present in future lives. So it is best to do the work on protecting your boundaries, filling up your cup, filling up your emotional cup like the Queen, and then being able to let go that which is not yours, that which is not serving your highest good or the highest good of the relationship. And that, Air Pal, is your reading. I send it from my heart to yours. I wish you blessings and so much love, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next reading. Welcome to your reading, Fire Pal. You chose this Rumi card, which we will read out to start the reading. And you chose the beautiful lavender Lepidolite with the streaks of pink Rubelite. I hope, can you see those pink rubelite there. So let's put that over there and let's get into your cards. So we'll start with the oracle cards. The wisdom of Hafiz is this beautiful, the boat sailing across the face of the moon, rising up into the lotus, and it is have patience. And remember, what we're looking at today, what Spirit is going to give us guidance on, is what we need to release, what we need to let go. This is the Golden Path Oracle, and this is inner conflict. That's completely unrelated to the reading, but that almost mirrors my screensaver on my computer. It's a beautiful, the forest with all the moss and the light shining. Beautiful image. Your tarot cards: Firepower, the Moon. Your next tarot card, the Hanged Man. Okay. Your third tarot card is the Three of Pentacles. Can you see that? The Three of Pentacles. Then we have Judgment. A lot of major arcana cards here, Firepower. This is big stuff that you're dealing with. And another major arcana, this time the magnificent, cheerful, illuminating sun. And your final card is, another major arcana, but the Devil. All right, that is an interesting reading, Firepower. Quite a mix. Let me just, okay, let's start. Let's get into the reading by reading the wisdom of Rumi. The cloak of Christ. In the school of humanity, you reside on the king's throne. Your soul has been ravaged and you are succumbing to weariness. That which plagues you is not as powerful as you fear. That's talking about the devil. Exhaustion is not a sign that something must be done, so much as a sign that something must be received, allowed to happen. Accept divine refuge now. That's a beautiful message and an interesting message. That's interesting because the devil, of course, is facing our inner demons. And we start right at the beginning of this reading with the Rumi message saying that that which we fear is not as powerful as we think it is. So let's, I think the thing that strikes me here first, as I said, is that there's so many major arcana cards. 5 out of 6 are major arcana cards. So this is really something big for you. I think it's almost a breakthrough moment. You are probably on the edge of taking a leap of faith, of resolving whatever the inner conflicts, whatever the duality that has been plaguing you. You've probably been patient for a long time. You've probably been feeling quite stuck in limbo, as if nothing is going to change, as if you've been working hard, and yet you just can't move forward. But Hafiz says, have patience. You are literally on the edge of a great breakthrough here. And whatever it is you've been struggling to release, whatever it is that you've been wanting to let go and move forward, move on from, you are about to reach that moment of, that epiphany moment in a way. Things are going to be illuminated. What I find very interesting is that we have both the sun here, the sun card, and we have the moon card. Now the moon card is all about our shadows. It's all about what we hide. And the Sun card is all about illuminating something. It's all about bringing the best of us to the surface. And this inner conflict card, this suggests that inside us we have this duality. This is almost a card of where in the shadows we keep those things that we don't like about ourselves. We hide them. And that which we like about ourselves, we show with beams, we put beams of light on. And yet, what the Justice card is saying, before I get into the Justice card, we've probably been working very, very hard on our shadow selves. We've probably been putting in an incredible amount of work on our unconscious, on the wild part of ourselves, on all that duality, on all that inner conflict that we have been experiencing. We have been putting in an incredible amount of work. And you can see it's material, emotional, and spiritual. We've been working on all aspects of ourselves. There, mind, body, spirit. We've been working, and yet we are still feeling as if we are incomplete. There is still so much building to do and to finish. And that is because the unconscious seems to be a never-ending stream of darkness coming out and howling. But what I think we need to remember, what the card of Justice is saying, and remember, Hafiz is saying, have patience. The Hanged Man here is telling us that yes, we have been in a state of limbo, but it is not a state of helplessness. It is more about a peaceful, almost meditative state of turning ourselves upside down and inside out and looking at things and gaining a new perspective. It's about looking at both sides of ourselves, the good and the bad, the shadow and the dark, the moon and the sun, looking at both sides of ourselves from a new perspective, to gain a new perspective. And this card, the Justice card, is telling us that what we have to let go, what we have to release to gain this breakthrough moment, what we need to release is that feeling of judging the different parts of ourselves as either good or bad. And this justice is not the man-made justice, because the man-made justice holds the scale and the sword of truth, but she is blindfolded. This Justice card looks deeply and clearly at the universal laws of nature, and nothing is either good or bad. It is about gaining a new perspective on how we look at ourselves, how we look at our shadow or the parts of ourselves that we don't like, and looking at the sun or the light and the parts of ourselves that we do like. And what this card is saying to us is that we need to stop judging ourselves or parts of ourselves as either good or bad, because we just are. And this Devil card, it's always a pretty scary looking card, and it does suggest limitations. It suggests that which holds us back, those parts of ourselves which are our demons, so to speak, our weaknesses. This is addictions of any kind. This is that part of ourselves that we would want to keep in the shadow. It's that part of ourselves that we may not even recognize, but the new perspectives, with the new perspective we've got from having turned ourselves upside down in our whole world, maybe something happened that actually turned your world upside down, so that you had to look at yourself in a new way, and you might have been brought face to face with this devil inside, with the shadow inside. And it is then that the inner conflict started, because I know that speaking for my late husband and myself, when we sat listening to the Truth and Reconciliation Committee as white South Africans, it was that hanged man moment where our worlds were turned upside down, and we had to, we were given a completely new perspective of ourselves and of our life and of our history. And it was, sitting listening to the stories, the untold stories of the apartheid era. And it is that point that you come face to face with your shadow, and you have to start working on it. And the work can take years and years and years. But what's always important to remember about the Devil card is that these two figures, although they are chained, those chains are very, very loose. And so the Devil card has a kind of secondary meaning. It has a deeper layer to it, which suggests that it offers us the opportunity to break free from that which is limiting us. It gives us, if we can stop judging ourselves as either as good and bad, as having parts that are bad and parts that are good, if we can just accept that within reason, because obviously if you want to go and pull the wings off flies, that's a real devil shadow side. I'm talking about within reason, and with dealing with compassion and love for all concerned, not just ourselves. The devil does offer us the opportunity to break free from those parts of ourselves that we have judged constantly as bad. And this, you are perhaps, Firepower, you're perhaps not quite there. It's about, you're at the moment, as the Rumi wisdom offered us, we are in a state, the hanged man state of limbo. It is almost a divine refuge. This whole journey, this process, this inner conflict, this discovery of the shadow, being illuminated, the having to face our inner demons head on. But remember, they are not as big as we feared that they would be. But this has been an exhausting journey. This hard work over months and years and weeks and days has created a need for us to just relax into that new perspective that we are assimilating, to learn to just accept that we are what we are. We have our light, we have our shadow, we are human beings. We are not gods who are perfect. And so it is important that we have patience, not only with the process, with the journey towards enlightenment, but that we also have patience with ourselves as we learn to understand and integrate these new perspectives, and as we continue the hard work. But I do feel that this firepower, I do feel that this is the bulk of the hard work, the bulk of the hard inner shadow journey is behind you. There is just maybe a few loose ends to tie up, a few chains to just unloosen, and then the sun will shine extremely brightly on your life and on your soul. Let's just get another tarot card. Let's just ask for a little bit of clarity on the devil and on the shadow. Spirits, please give me another card or two. Okay, stand your ground. Let's see if there's another card coming through. Very much so. Thank you. Throat chakra. Okay. Interesting. So, the first additional message is stand your ground. Don't give in. Don't give up. You've come so far. You've come so far. You've done so much work. If people are saying to you, you've come so far and yet there's no change, we can't see the improvement, whatever, stand your ground. You know that the inner work is not visible in the outer world, and stand your ground, continue to do the work, continue to have this journey across the emotions and across the across both the light and the dark, the rough and the smooth of your life. There is a suggestion here that we need to do some throat chakra work. The throat chakra, of course, is all about self-expression. It's about opening yourself up. It's about expressing your authentic self. And perhaps that is about the justice, that you've been hiding parts of yourself in that forest, that conflict, keeping parts of yourself hidden in the dark. And the throat chakra is about expressing yourself in your full authenticity, because what you see as bad in yourself, somebody else may see as a strength. So you may think you're being stubborn, but somebody else may see it as you having the courage of your convictions. And so the final message from Spirit is, hold on, have patience. You are almost there, Fire Pal, and just accept yourself with love and with compassion, and know that you have light and dark, and each are equally good, each are equally a gift. Learn to express your full authentic self, and the breakthrough will come. Rest when you need to. Take refuge in the fact that this divine journey this hard work will bring great results over time. And that, Fire Power, is your reading. It is sent from my heart to yours. I wish you blessings and so much love. And welcome to your reading, Water Power. You chose this Rumi card, which we will begin your reading with. And you chose the beautiful midnight blue Sodalite, which we will put over there. Now let's look at your cards. We'll start with the oracle cards first. The Wisdom of Hafiz. Create silence, with the beautiful crescent moon. The Golden Path Oracle. Space clearing. Now that's interesting, because Sodalite, one of the characteristics of Sodalite is that it clears space in the mind. It clears the mind, it creates space in the mind for new thoughts. It gets rid of old, rigid thinking, and it creates space for new thought. Interesting. So the Golden Path is about space clearing. Now let's look at your tarot cards. So your first tarot card is the Knight of Pentacles. Your second tarot card is the beautiful High Priestess. And look how interesting. You see the moon, the crescent moon, in both of those cards. And these are cards of secrets, the inner voice, because this is creating silence, and it is in silence that we hear the whispers of the soul. So let's get all your cards on the table before I start thinking and talking about the cards. Your third card is, sorry, I put those down the wrong way. Page of Cups. And your fourth card, King of Pentacles. Interesting. You see the progression from the Knight of Pentacles to the King of Pentacles. Suggests growth. And your next card is the Six of Pentacles. Lots of pentacles in this reading. Pentacles underneath the High Priestess. And your final card is the Nine of Wands with the poor exhausted fellow underneath the Page of Cups. So, water power, let's begin by reading your message from the Rumi Oracle. Divine discontent. Winter falls upon us, so spring can bring new growth. What was prized and treasured is now found to be plated, not the precious gold it was esteemed to be. Look beyond what is. There is a true feast meant for you, not a meager meal. Allow your hungry-hearted soul to lead you toward the banquet table. How interesting. Interesting. Because with all these pentacles, 50% of your cards are pentacles. This is all about material success and a lot of success. This is about pushing forward, having the discipline, having the energy, but being stable and focused on, see how focused this Knight of Pentacles is on that pentacle. He knew what he wanted to get it. And he got it, because the King of Pentacles is the ultimate in material success. This is a position of power. This is a position of having achieved everything that was wanted. But there has been a price to pay, because you can see he's quite stony-faced. He sits on a throne of stone, and he holds his pentacle and his scepter very tightly. And his foot, his armored foot, is very anchored on the ground. So this is a man, or this is an energy, because remember the cards have no gender. So I may talk about a man, but it applies equally if you're a female or a male. But this is a person who has worked so hard, who was so focused on the goals, the material goals, and achieving them. But there's an armored inside. There's such a determination to keep this position, such a determination to protect this material abundance, whatever it may be. And of course, it'll be different for everybody in this air pile. But he does not let his defenses down. And I think this is an energy that will be fairly resistant to opening up to adventures, to new paths, to letting the curiosity of the Page of Wands, looking at the fish jumping out of the cup, that curious creature that inspires a new journey to go seeking for reasons. And this might be the cause of the divine discontent, because when you've achieved all your goals and you still sometimes feel that something is lacking, something is missing, then this divine discontent starts creeping in, and all that had so much meaning before becomes just a meager meal. And what's very interesting is the next card is the Six of Pentacles. And remember, Air Pal, we're looking at what Spirit is telling us, what we need to let go about this situation, what we need to release about this situation. And this Six of Pentacles, it's quite a ambivalent card for me, because on the one hand, the initial image is one of generosity, it is one of compassion, it is one of kindness, because there's this wealthy person dishing out coins and being, to the two beggars. But there's so many more layers to this, because first of all, this is not an extremely generous, it's not a spontaneous generosity. This is a well-measured generosity. And who decides? He's the one who decides who should get it. It's not an equal sharing. And also, another layer to this card is almost an abundance mentality versus a poverty consciousness. So you could identify with the beggars, or you could identify with the wealthy merchant, but neither of those are the whole picture, because at any time we could be one or the other. Perhaps we are rich in material stuff, but those two beggars may have an immensely rich spiritual or emotional life. And that is what this card is coming to remind us, that it's all about keeping the material and the emotional, the mind, body, spirit. It's all about keeping it in balance. Because having material wealth doesn't necessarily mean that we have a rich emotional life. And this King of Pentacles is fully armored, even under his cloak of wealth and richness and abundance. And there's nothing wrong with having that cloak of abundance and richness, but if it prevents you from a spontaneous, heart-centered giving, if it prevents you from a spontaneous, heart-centered way of living, then perhaps things are going out of balance. And that kind of constant defending, the knight is still moving, he's on his horse, he's achieving his goals, he still has passion. You see how much red there is, and there's still space for growth. But by the time this knight has this situation that you're in, you've reached the pinnacle of success, you've reached the pinnacle of your goals. But the cost, it's almost as if the cost to something was quite exhausting. It was a tough battle. There were many battles, but perhaps the way of thinking, the third eye, has been closed off by that bandage. And this suggests that the situation is not perhaps as healthy as it first seemed. And that is where the High Priestess comes in, because the High Priestess is all about secrets, hidden knowledge, what is unseen. And she sits there waiting for us to approach her, waiting for us to try and decipher the secrets of our soul, because she is the High Priestess, and she holds the keys to our emotional life, the lunar life. And this Golden Path Oracle is all about space clearing. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's a wind blowing. And this wind is bringing in, it's almost like the winds of change are coming. And it is blowing out all the old leaves. It is creating space for the new to come in. But the Hafiz, the wisdom of Hafiz, is saying to us that in this busy, practical life, this well-defended material life that we are living, we need to create a space for silence, because it is in silence that we can hear the whispers of the inner voice. It is there in the silence, in the space that is created by allowing ourselves to open up and let new thoughts, take that bandage off, and let new thoughts enter into our mind. It is in that space that is created that the silence becomes the voice, the inner voice of wisdom, that shows us that there is possibly a new path, a new direction that we need to start seeking. And that direction is the curious world of the emotions, because to the pentacle energy is very grounded, it's very practical, it can in its extreme be quite rigid and closed. And that is what the Page of Wand is advising us. It is saying there are new directions that we can seek, and they are in the direction of the cups, the emotions. So Epal, let's have a look and see. I'm going to draw a couple of new cards. Let's see if we can get any idea on the secrets that the High Priestess is holding. This new direction the new winds of change. Let us see. I'm going to just draw a couple new cards. Spirit, 2 cards for the water pile, please, to give clarity on the new directions. Another, oh, there one. There's the other card. Thank you very much. Let us see. Movement, choices, and decisions. Well, how interesting is that? Look at that, water pile. And of course, it's interesting that there's so many pentacles, because the water pile is, of course, emotions. The water pile is cups. And look at that, Page of Cups, new path about to begin, and love begins. A new journey into the emotions is about to start for you. What a wonderful adventure awaits. And you'll be doing it from a position of material comfort and success. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Now it's time to begin this new adventure into the world of emotion and love. And of course, to do that, you will have to go back to the night energy of movement, choices, and decisions. Where will this journey begin? Where will this discovery, the seeking of love begin? It could be anything. It could be the discovery of a new passion, like a hobby, or it could be exactly what it says, love, as in love for yourself, love for another. Perhaps it's a child. It could be, Page is normally a child, it's youth. So perhaps that is the new journey. Now that you are financially secure and your goals are met, you can now open yourself up to a new kind of love, the love of a parent. So that is a big decision, a big choice to make. And water pile, it is one that will be extremely rewarding, and it will definitely blow away all the divine discontent that you've been feeling with the rich, abundant material world, but perhaps feeling that something is lacking. And it will be a rich banquet for you. And that water pile is your reading. I send it from my heart to yours. I wish you blessings and so much love. And I look forward to seeing you in the next reading.